times. Hunter boats, ug boats, anything that a bit of glue to, you can dom it up or stick Chanel stickers to. Anything just to make a bit of money.
Cassie Ann advertises her wares.
In terms of modern age, he would have been certainly for a parliament, certainly for a monarchy. I'd like to think he might have moved towards a yes vote.
There is no doubt that Sir Walter Scott fought his country's corner. His home is full of objects he collected celebrating its past, from Mary Stuart's crucifix to Rob Roy's gun and dirk. But in the opinion of one of the country's current leading novelists, Scott would always have wished to remain part of the Union.
And he referred to England as our sister and ally, and I think that's a consistent.
Everyday tasks are a struggle for Maureen. Her care workers are supposed to prepare her meals and feed her, but that doesn't always happen.
Sometimes they get halfway through a meal and that's it, they run out of time and they have to go because they've got to go to the next person.
When the carers aren't there, her 10-year-old grandson helps out. On occasions has had to help empty her catheter bag. Maureen gets around 5 hours of care a day.
Boggle with a sense of humour.
Women. Hopefully you've noticed there are certain differences between the two genders. But physical characteristics aside, we're all treated equally, aren't we? After all.
May give you about £20,000, which she'll hope will pay for some of her.
There's this other issue that we have, which is the secondary jobs that a number of MPs have. And in my view, that is a corrupt system in itself. What should happen is MPs should, in my view, get a rise according to the Independent Party, but they should be banned from having secondary jobs because that is corrupting the way that the MPs operate. The MPs should be 100% behind their constituents, no other parties.
Okay, and
I'm not really sure why this issue is being raised right now. It seems like it's kind of wasting valuable time on much more important issues that we could be sorting out, and whether MPs should have a pay rise or not is the least of my problems at the moment. So.
Yes, I mean, everyone has said the timing couldn't be worse, and it's obvious that the system is a mess. And the two things that keep coming up, obviously the expenses matter and that of MP pay. Obviously the optics of it are appalling at this point. As has already been said, public sector workers having their pay frozen, or an increase of 1%, and MPs get a 10% rise. Obviously it looks terrible. However, there is, I think, an argument to be made for, as I think Sarah's already mentioned, an argument for increasing the pay. However, in my opinion, that could only happen, should only happen, if, among other things, something comes back to us, the general public, for that. I think that, for instance, if you increase MPs' pays at this point, either that means that we should sort out, i.e. scrap the expenses system, or it could mean, for instance, that there are fewer MPs. I would love to have seen the boundary review that was proposed, where we could save the money, as it were, of the increase that they would get from having fewer MPs. That's obvious. And my own view is that people shouldn't be able to get pay rises in their job unless the opposite is possible as well. If you only ever reward people and there's no disincentive, and I was very struck earlier today. I discovered that in Singapore, admittedly not a thriving democracy, but bear with me. In Singapore, their politicians have a performance-related pay. Now, I wouldn't mind seeing that. I'm not sure quite how you arranged it.
How did they measure it?
I can't remember. They probably invented it, but
Isn't our performance assessed by the electorate when we go to an election?
barely.
Well, wait a minute.
I think you would find all sorts of unnecessary letters being written and questions being tabled in order to meet the performance targets.
Yeah, but
people doing the job by
on the unconscious theory that
for their constituents.
on the unconscious theory that the electorate decide, if you go into opposition, you get paid less, and when you're back in office, you get paid more.
But
Because
isn't
the
it
electorate have voted for you, right?
But isn't it extraordinary that you can have some MPs that only turn up twice to make 2 speeches in Parliament this year, for example, Gordon Brown, and he gets